She didn't bother to press the pins that held it in place further into her bun. There wasn't time enough for even that simple gesture. When the gravel driveway to the dairy farm burst into view, she blew out a little breath of relief. She was almost there. Bumping over the small stones, she made her way directly to the telephone shed. Jumping off the bike, she let it drop onto the ground unceremoniously and bolted inside the small white-boarded building. Her hand had barely closed around the telephone receiver when she heard the door slam shut behind her. Melinda whirled around, letting go of her only chance of escape to clutch her hands to her chest. "What do you want?" she nearly shouted. One of the men that faced her was middle-aged and balding. His round gut heaved as if he too had sprinted into the shed. The other man looked only to be a few years older than herself. His muscular, wiry frame told Melinda that she couldn't fight this man or make a run for it. The hard set to his square jaw let her know that there wouldn't be any sweet-talking her way out of it with him either. The thing that mainly made her heart thump madly was that these two weren't Amish.
"You know what we want,"
the older man said after catching his breath.
"Don't make this any more difficult than it has to be."
Melinda swallowed the lump that had formed in her throat. "How did you find me?" she said quietly, working to keep her voice from cracking. The hard-faced man snorted.
"You might be pretty enough, but I really hope you ain't as dumb-witted as that."
Melinda's lips stopped trembling, and her legs weren't as weak as they were a moment ago. She might be many things, but she wasn't dumb. The sickly feeling in her stomach turned to fire as she glared back at the man. He returned her hostile look with his own expression of admiration. "Did any of my people send you here?" Melinda asked, becoming stronger by the minute. It was the heavy-set man who answered her.
"When you were nowhere to be found in Mount Carmel, we did a little detective work and discovered your family had relations here in Blood Rock."
His twisted smile made Melinda numb inside.
"I believe your aunt and uncle own this farm, and one of the ministers, Aaron Esch, is a second cousin of yours. It made sense to come here first, but we had a list of other communities to visit if you didn't turn up in this one."
Melinda swallowed again. Her mouth was dry. She only had one more chance to change her destiny. Her parents, some relatives, and even Aaron had already donated the money to save her. The thick wad of bills was in an envelope, tucked safely away between her mattress and the bedspring in her bedroom. "I have money. A lot of money. I'll give it to you if you leave me here." The older man shook his head, still smiling. The younger one took several steps to reach Melinda in a blur. He grabbed her arm, jerking her even closer. She tried to struggle, but his grip was like steel. When she quieted, his gaze traveled the length of Melinda, prompting her to close her eyes and silently pray to God for a miracle.
"Do you think you're the first king girl who's tried to bribe us?"
He brought his mouth to her ear. "There's nothing more valuable than your body. You know that. Over time, you'll earn out a hell of a lot more than your traitorous family might have raised." His voice became more coaxing.
"It will be easier on you if you accept your fate and come willingly."
Melinda's eyes popped open. Shards of afternoon sunlight streamed in through the only small window in the shed. The light caught particles of dust floating in the air. Her captor's breath was too close, and she saw the beads of sweat trickling down the sides of his forehead. This had always been inevitable. Her family attempted to hide her, to save her, but they had failed. Melinda knew this day was coming, and mentally, she'd somewhat prepared for it. She lifted her chin high, watching both men closely. She would learn their names, and in time, she'd become their friends. She couldn't stop what was going to happen to her, but there were ways that she could improve her circumstances, ways to gain some control over her future. She dropped her head, keeping her eyes glued to the wooden floor. "I'm done fighting. No need to hurt my arm," lifting her eyes just enough.